All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's get into that conversation. Is it an assembly of chaos? I am with me here, member of County Assemblies, Honorable Seth Kamanza, Speaker, Kwale County and Deputy Chairperson, County Assemblies Forum. Thank you for making time. Honorable Dominic Maitha is here, MCA Muthwani Ward in Machakos. Thank you very much for making time. Honorable Felix Ngui, MCA Katangi Ward in Machakos. Thank you very much for making time. Honorable Grace Bahati, MCA Cheleni Ward in Machakos. Thank you very much for making time. And Honorable Vincent Atsiaya, MCA Wodanga in Vihiga County. Thank you very much for making time. I want to show you some video clips of what happened in Machakos earlier on so that you see what the fiasco was. We have 3 representatives from 3 different wards there. We'll find out from them what really happened. Let's bring that up and see what the chaos was about in Machakos. And there was a brawl there. People trying to access the Speaker's office. Quite a scuffle in Machakos. I don't know whether we have the natural sound there to listen in so that we have this conversation right after that. But this was a situation in Machakos County earlier on. And we've seen this in several other counties as well, not just in Machakos. In Nyamira, there's an actual standoff there because they believe that they have 2 different factions. And one of the MCAs actually standing on the seat is here with me. And we'll find out from them what really happened and what this issue was all about. That's also her running around there with water. So let's find out from her. And we'll start with you, Bahati. First of all, where were you taking that water? What was going on?
Trevor, I was trying to go and help people, you know. There was so much scuffles that were happening. And actually that day I was on going back. It was from recess. And I woke up, of course, early in the morning, prepped myself, went to the assembly knowing it was going to be business as usual. But apparently, of course, in Machakos County, we have 2 divides. That's a reality. We have an impeachment motion that's been happening about the impeaching of our speaker. And so, of course, there was a court order that, you know, our speaker gets back to work. And so for me, I knew, of course, as a good citizen of this nation, I mean, we abide by the rules. If we want to keep on saying about justice and doing what is right, let's just obey what the court did. So for me, I went, you know, got there, found some people had already exchanged blows. So we sat there, waited for time to go to the assembly. Yeah. But of course, one thing led to another and all that, and then there were scuffles. So we were trying actually to go reach out to our speaker to know whether, you know, are we going to the assembly or do we just, you know, call it quits and just go home? What is causing this divide that you say? You say that there are 2 divides in Machakos. So what are the issues? One of the issues is there is the independency of the assembly. One of the things that our viewers need to understand is that what the replication of what is happening in the national government, we have what's the national government, we have the executive, who's the president, and we have the National Assembly. The same case in the counties, we have the executive, who is the governor as office together with the ministers and all that, and then we have the county assembly. So we cannot be an extension of the executive, just the way our National Assembly cannot be an extension of the executive. So what has been happening is that freedom of knowing that as an assembly, we must be independent to express the needs, to express the voice of our people, of the society, of our electorates. So that's just the divide that has been happening. Our assembly cannot be an extension of the executive. That's where the problem is. That's just where the problem is. Let's hear from the other MCs from Machakos as well. Honorable Maitha, what was the issue there?
Okay, thank you, Trevor. I want to change the script from assemblies of chaos to assemblies of calls. What do I mean? We are calling for independence of the assemblies as enshrined in our constitution. That is the principle of separation of powers. And I think the drafters of the 2010 constitution, which promulgated and resorted to the creation of the county government, first and foremost, I want to be very grateful to them because they really did a very, very, very key and pertinent decision to do one simple thing, decentralize power. And if you read the Constitution, chapter 11 of the Constitution, and then you go to Article 174 of the Constitution about objectives of devolution. it is really outlined down there on what exactly is supposed to be undertaken in the county government. And one of the key issues that is there is the principle of separation of powers. First and foremost, it's unfortunate what happened in Machakos County, but it is not the first assembly where this has been witnessed. It has also been witnessed even in the National Assembly. Looking into that, the last 2-3 days, there has been issues in the National Assembly where, what happened, which I don't want to get into details. And coming back to what happened in Machakos, it's unfortunate that it happened at a time when we were just receiving from recess, where we are coming to the last session of the financial year, where there is a lot that is required of us as an assembly, including passing the budgets, scrutinizing the budgets and adopting it by the deadline on 13 June. We're supposed to have quite a number of acts which are pending that needs to be passed so that they can give effect to their actualization. We have the supplementary budget, which also comes at this time. So it's quite unfortunate it happened. But all in all, as my colleague has said, I want to go back slightly, some like 3-4 months ago. We had the same issue in our assembly where members of the county assembly, but the majority of them felt that the speaker ought to go home because of issues that were raised, which I might not give into details. And I think we sat down with the governor and came to a conclusion that we need to stop this thing and work as a team. Mm-hmm. And actually, Trevor, I can tell you that the speaker apologized, and much of the issues that were being accused that the speaker was not doing, in real sense, a lot of this was coming from the executive side of it, because there were issues of financial delays, facilitation of members, assembly activities in terms of even development in the assembly was not moving on. So there were quite a number of issues that were being raised. But we sat down and said that because Machakos county government belongs to all of us. That is the assembly and the executive. And I can say here without any fear of contradiction that we are inseparable. We like it or not, we have to work as a team and deliver the promises that we gave to the electorate. Mm. But it has come at a point in time whereby 2.5 years down the line, we seem not to be moving. And when this impeachment motion, the first impeachment motion came, the speaker apologized and we moved on. 3 months after, the impeachment motion has resurfaced back. And it is quite unfortunate, and I would like to say this. Assemblies need to be given freedom to do their work. We sat with the speaker and analyzed the motion that was tabled before the House, the reasons that were being brought to impeachment, but they are unwarranted. It's unfortunate what happened on Tuesday in the afternoon, in the morning session. I, being a member of the implementation of the House Business Committee, which is the main engine of the Assembly, where decisions are made in terms of what has to come to the floor of the House. And what transpired there based on the last 2-3 weeks events when the speaker's impeachment was brought to the floor of to the attention of the floor of the House, a lot of things have happened. And I will say this without any fear of contradiction. The executive arm of the county government of Machakos is behind all this. There has been meetings, calls and attempts to woo members to support the impeachment motion. And the majority of us have refused to this narrative, because the reasons as to why the speaker is being impeached to us has no basis at all. Because this is a speaker we sat with 3 months ago and agreed to work together. But right now we are being told again we need to impeach the speaker on the reasons that have been tabled on the motion, but we cannot find any justification to that effect. And that's why we said we are not going to impeach the speaker. Yeah. And because we knew the threshold that is required, a threshold of 45, that's why we decided to say that, okay, fine, what do we need to do? We need now to save the speaker. Those of us who are like-minded and who see that the allegations being leveled are just frivolous, malicious, and aimed at tainting the same speaker that we were given and told by the governor, this is the speaker that I want to work with. Then all of a sudden, it comes the inverse, where we are being told, no, you cannot work any further with this speaker. So it's quite unfortunate. And the events of that day are quite sad. And I will just say this. What happened is, when we got into the House Business Committee, the House Business Committee consists of 13 members, which are selected by the various assembly parties. And on the opposing side, we were only 5. On the supporting side of the motion, there were 8 of them. And when we got into that room, at the boardroom, they outrightly gave us a lot of threats and told that today is the day that we are going to deal with you because you are few, we are many, and we are going to shut down everything. And that's exactly what they went. Even when the speaker, by the time the speaker came, we felt threatened because there were many of us, they were trying to intimidate us, but we stood the ground and said, no, let the speaker come. We battle a lot of business, and we proceed the way we have been doing. And as it has been a norm, when the speaker came in, the normal procedures started. And when it came time to ballot, basically what usually happens is we usually get directions from the clerk on the best way on which we're supposed to ballot the motions and statements and the business that has come to the floor of the House. And on consensus mode, we usually agree on that, and maybe depending on any changes, because for example, as a chair, she will maybe propose that my business be brought on Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning based on the reasons that she will give. So once the clerk gives us that direction, we adopt it as a whole and agree and proceed back to ballot the business. But that day, they decided to change the narrative. That is the supporting side who is opposing the speaker. And they said we have to vote. Which is not the norm. So when that altercation came and exchanged and said they will not ballot any single business, that's when one of the honorable members, Mheshimiwa Lucky from Matungulu North, he decided that because the speaker had invoked standing order number 1, which gives her express powers to decide on whether what has to come to floor of the House satisfies her that it is worth to come to the House. So when the first business, the second one, and the third and the fourth one was given the way to see, they saw that now it was heading to the Assembly. And there were some issues that were being objected by the supporting side that is supported the impeachment of the Speaker, which are well known to in the public domain. There was issues that I would not even want to mention much of them. So they said no. We cannot proceed with this, and it has to stop. We will not allow any business to come to the floor. And it has that juncture that the Honorable Lucky, who is also the majority whip, stood, and to my dismay, he went straight to punch the speaker. I was there, I saw it, the sergeant at times were there, the clerks with the secretary was there. So when he stood to go and punch the speaker, that's when we realized that there was war based on the previous issues that they had raised and said that the speaker does not have the authority to make decisions on behalf of the committee. And it's at that point that now war started. And it's unfortunate that a number of them went injured, and it just ended up. Then from there, that's when we went outside, and then we were joined by the other members, and then the supporting team of the that is supporting the removal of the speaker came, closed, and then blocked our way out, that she could not access the plenary, because they knew once she accesses the plenary, a lot of pronouncements maybe would have been made. And it's unfortunate. I want to say one thing. The entire narrative is being misconstrued, is being misrepresented, because it was being said the team that is supporting the speaker is coming to impeach the governor, and the team that is opposing the speaker wants to come and have the motion for removal of the speaker of the impeachment proceed. But that is a totally different situation. First and foremost, the governor's impeachment has not even been tabled in the floor of the House. What we only received was a petition for impeachment of the governor from residents of Machakos, which to me is unprocedural. Because the process for the impeachment of the governor is quite outlined and enshrined in our constitution. So this was just a petition which is allowed by law, and it had not even been pronounced or communicated in the floor of the House. So there was a lot of misinformation in the floor of the House, and that is what precipitated the events of that.
All right. Mugui, what is your reading of what happened there? There seems to be an allegation that the executive arm is behind this. Is that true? Because this is a county assembly's issue.
Thank you, Trevor. I think I wish to differ with my colleagues, Mheshimiwa Dominic and Mheshimiwa Zora, because the issue that is happening in Machakos is not an issue of executive. What is in Machakos County Assembly, there's a motion to impeach the speaker, and there's the procedure on how the speaker is supposed to be impeached. You read the County Government Acts, section 11(6), it will tell you how the speaker is supposed to be impeached. One, when a notice of motion is given to the speaker to be impeached, the speaker is supposed to be notified by the clerk. Then after she's notified by the clerk, the law is very clear that she cannot transact any business pertaining her office. So we filed the first notice of motion. The speaker was notified by the clerk. Then instead of the Speaker responding to the issues within 7 days, she rushed to court. All right? So she got some orders restraining the move of the motion to continue with the motion. And the case is still in the court. So what happens? Another member tabled another motion to impeach the Speaker. Following the procedure, the clerk notified the Speaker. So Section 11 of the County Government Act says that when the Speaker is notified, she cannot perform any function. So the reason members were outside Speaker's office were to know why the Speaker is in the office, and the law states clearly that when she's notified, she's not supposed to be in the office. All right? So the issue of independence is not here, not there. Because the issue of impeachment is not concerning the Speaker has not been impeached by the executive. The members of County Assembly of Machakos have signed. The executive are not signed for the impeachment of the Speaker. So instead of the Speaker addressing or respond to the matters, she just rushed to the court. We should be getting a response on the allegation, because there are serious issues raised on this motion. Issues of integrity. Okay? Issues of misuse of office, issues of incompetence. Those are the issues we need addressed by the Speaker. Because the executive would not come and address the incompetence of the Speaker, you know? Issues of integrity of the Speaker. So the issue of independence is not here, not there. It is about the Assembly, and what is happening in Assembly of Machakos, it is matters pertaining to the Assembly. When we come to the executive, we deal with the matters of executive. In fact, the same Speaker last year was saved by the governor. We had sent 48 signatures to impeach her. So the governor had to intervene and say, please, don't impeach the Speaker. So this time round, the members of the Assembly pleaded with the governor, please don't get into our matters. We will deal with our Assembly. So the governor kept off and left the Assembly to do their duty. That's what is happening.
Okay, so it's entirely an county.
It's Assembly matter, yes.
Yeah, but let me bring in Seth. Let me bring in Seth first. I'll come back to you because I know we are talking about the Machakos issue. But Seth, from the County Assemblies Forum, because you're in the leadership, how should these issues be addressed when there's such a standoff? Because there's always seeming to be a situation where members of county assemblies always blame the executive, yet like what Ngui is saying, they are the ones who signed the impeachment. So at what point does the governor come in?
You know, Trevor, in essence and in reality, is that, you know, right now the assemblies cannot even do anything unless the CC Finance does accept to even advance any amount to the assemblies. Why am I saying this? There is a law before the houses, the Senate, that we are requesting for autonomy of the county assemblies. And there is a reason for that. You know, right now, if an assembly or a speaker does not go in line with the governor, then the assembly suffers.
Exactly.
And I can assure you, when you look into most of the issues that emanate from most of the speakers, right now we have lost almost 2 to 3 speakers. Migori, Homa Bay. Right now we have Taita Taveta. Nyamira is also, there's a standoff.
There are 2 of them.
Yes, and now Machakos, 5 of us. You know, the work for a speaker, you're just supposed to be an abater. You're supposed to balance the emotions. You're supposed to look on how issues are supposed to be raised. And once you do that, sometimes there are many interests in an issue like the one that you see in Machakos. You might see it like this, but there are other many stakeholders who come in because now you invite party, you invite individuals who have interest in even the speakership. You also invite people who think that their agendas can be brought by another person. So a speaker does not have a security of tenure. The members can vote a speaker today in the morning, and in the afternoon, they vote that person out. It is because the Constitution felt that a speaker is chosen by the members for the feel that that they are having an equity and fairness. Therefore, at most instances, we are at a crossroad, because you are supposed to balance the members' interest. At the same time, you're supposed to balance the wananchi's interest. At the same time, you're supposed to balance the executive that is giving you the amount. So at most instances, the speakers are seen like a bridge between the executive and the assembly. Therefore, what we are seeing right now, we are seeing hits. And I will tell you the symptoms from Machakos, and reality they know. It is about welfare of the members. I can tell you, for 3 months, if you have not advanced me any disbursement, how will I run the assemblies? Yeah. And those are the main underlying issues.
And is that because the executive is refusing to do it, or is it
no, it's not
gotten the money from the exchequer? Because you're the one who said that counties are not getting the allocation.
It is essentially not solemnly on the governors alone. Yeah. It starts, you know, the problem is bigger than what you see, Trevor. You see, sometimes the government can release 700 million. Then the executive sits down and say that what is the salary for these members? It is 30 million. We're only advancing 30 million out of 700 million. So therefore, you find that the assemblies are at the mercy of the executives. So that's why we are entrenching a law that the assemblies must have an autonomy. Because, you know, the Englishman said, the hand that gives you, you play by its tune. And that's it. And at most instances, you will go around everything, but it's about the welfare of the members. No. You can imagine if the members have not gotten salary up to today, it means they don't have even a DSA. It means, technically, these members are living from hand to mouth. Yeah. And if their salary is a pantry 81,000, you know,
to oversight the executive when you don't have anything.
Exactly. So you find that if there's an issue and the executive wants to advance it through the membership, they can call few members, advance some amounts to the few members, the same way we see in the National Assembly that is happening. And you know, that is at the expense of the people, the Kenyans. And you see, if it is a small thing that we need to correct.
Okay.
Give the assemblies an autonomy of their own, and everything will be okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Atia, what do you think is the problem?
Thank you, Trevor. First and foremost, I want to appreciate Citizen TV for calling MCAs so that they can speak for themselves. In most cases, MCAs have been, somebody has been speaking on our behalf, and nobody knows what MCAs go through. Whatever is happening in Machakos and other county assemblies, I don't think it could have been avoided if Senate could have prioritized strengthening county assemblies. Me, I blame the Senate, because Senate is supposed to be protecting devolution, and is supposed to be making sure that the independence of county assemblies is there. But the Senate has outrightly delayed approving some of special motions and special legislations that need to give assemblies independence. Right now, Trevor, any assembly cannot get funds without seeking approval of the CEC member finance. Who is the CEC member for finance? Is a CEC member appointed by the governor. So whatever is being said by my colleagues here, the governors, in one way or another, controls the assemblies. To the contrary to what is happening in the National Assembly. National government is, the executive is independent, judiciary is independent, legislature is independent. County National Assembly gets its funds directly from the exchequer. County assemblies receive funds through the executive. And the CEC member must sign for assemblies to get funds. I've been listening to my colleagues from Machakos. They were narrating their issues and what have you. At one given point, you have heard the governor saved. How did the governor came in and it is the CEO of the executive? and not at the assembly. It means whatever happens to the county assemblies, whether the removal of the speaker or the removal of leadership, the governors have a hand because they feed the assembly. You can imagine an assembly where the last disbursements from the exchequer was in January. Executive are at liberty because they do collections. They collect their daily revenue, and nobody knows in the assembly how much you collect per day or at the end of the month. So executive can operate and fund their activities through their local revenue collection. But the assembly collects no funds. So assemblies suffer because if the speaker is not doing what the governor wants, the governor will suffocate the assembly, he will not give funds to the assemblies, and now assembly members will want to remove the speaker. But I want to tell you, Trevor, there is nowhere in the assembly where the speaker signs for money. The speaker is not the accounting officer of the county assemblies. So the issue of misuse of funds should not come in, because speakers are just directing the assemblies whether to be impartial, and they are non-partisan. So you cannot, and a speaker is like an MCA. So you cannot accuse an MCA for abuse of office or misuse of funds, because there is nowhere an MCA coming in contact with the funds. So to protect our speakers and protect our assemblies, the Senate should make sure that they approve the county assembly autonomy, so that assemblies will be getting their funds directly from the exchequer without going through the executive. Secondly, we should have timely disbursements of funds from the National Treasury. I'm here telling you, Trevor, that the last disbursement that came to the county government was in January. We are almost going to the mid of April. We are almost going to the Easter holidays. All these honorable members, they will wake up in the morning, find constituents outside telling them we want something for the Easter. But now 3 months down the line, they have not received funds. So if we have a governor who does not want to be, who feels that this speaker is not dancing to my tune, he will now get money from the local collections, he will fund members of the assembly, and he will tell them, go and remove the speaker. And members will do that, because they say, he who feeds you controls you. So for us to save the assemblies from these chaotic dramas and focus on our legislative role, the Senate should, with immediate effect, approve the legislation of county assembly autonomy, and the National Treasury should timely disburse funds to the county governments. And that will solve a lot of problems. Lastly, Honorable Trevor, the assembly members need to be remunerated in a manner that resonates with what they are doing. You know, our counterparts, executive, the National Assembly members, the Senate members, they have funds. They are controlling funds. The members of National Assembly have CDF. The Senate recently, they approved the Oversight Fund. Which fund does an MCA has? Nothing. An MCA has nothing. Fund has been approved. There is no World Development Fund. MCAs are at the mercy of the governor. I had the control of budget and the Auditor General saying that we have weak oversights in the county assemblies.
In fact,
I want to tell you
the weakest.
Yes, they say the weakest. Number one reason is the Senate want assemblies to be weak in oversighting so that they can be doing this primary oversight from the Senate here. How many times have you seen governors being called at the Senate to come and explain how audit reports were, how funds were spent? And that is the work of the county assembly, according to the Constitution. How many times? Senate want assemblies not to be strong in oversight because they will be taking over what they are doing here. Number two, Trevor, as all MCAs are at the mercy of the governor. If you come out gun blazing and tell the governor, this one is wrong, this is wrong, he will blacklist your ward, you will not receive the developments for the remainder of the term. Why? Because there is no fund that protects MCAs and the county assembly members who are calling out the governors when they are going rogue. So every MCA elected in this country operates at the mercy of the governor. I can tell you, a governor can decide today in the morning, He walks into your ward. If you are at loggerhead with him or her, he walks in your ward with all CC members and chief officers and all the machineries. He do what he wants or she wants in your ward and leaves your ward without your knowledge. So for us to protect these assemblies again, we need to have a law that will bring equal development into the wards, regardless of the stand of the MCA with the governor. Okay. Because for us to oversight, we must not be relying on you to do development into our wards. Because if I call the governor and tell the governor, your people are corrupt, he will simply sit in the cabinet and blacklist my ward, and I will suffer. And he will come to my ward, fund people, and tell them your MCA was elected to do development for you and is now fighting me. So in some areas, we have MCAs who are suffering because when they call out governors go into their wards and start telling the electorates that your MCA is fighting me, now I want you to bring me another person who will work with me. And in the Constitution, there is nowhere they have said that an MCA should be working with the governor. An MCA should perform oversight roles, representation roles, and legislation roles. Those are the 3 roles. Okay. Yes.
All right. Bahati, let's stick to the order. Bahati, you've mentioned earlier on that there's a lack of independence, but there seems to be a growing concern here that this is actually a creation of the MCAs themselves. Because if you do not play to the tunes of the executive, then nobody pushes you to do what you don't want to do. It means you are accepting it. It's like a hand that gives a bribe. Both the giver and the receiver are to blame in equal measure.
Definitely, Trevor, there is a gap when you look at our constitution. The reason why devolution was brought into place was to make sure that we get the electorates or the Kenyans get development up to the grassroots. Being my first time elected, of course, and being in the county assembly, I've been trying to evaluate, like my colleague said, our work is to legislate, to represent, and to oversight. MCAs do not have a kitty or a CDF fund. And one of the reasons is where we do clash with the executive or with the governors is when we do our oversight role. Our oversight role, you don't necessarily have to be rude or anything, but when you question either things to do with policy, why are we not following this policy? For instance, in the case right now, we have the control of budget did freeze the bursary funds in the county level. Reason being, education that has been devolved into a county level, it's ECDs and TVETs. So once we give these bursaries to the secondary school and college and university, yes, these are our kids, but at the same time, we are not working under the Devolution Act and the policies and the ministries that have been brought down to our counties. So having saying that, the reason why you see these clashes, and like my colleague said, I've seen if devolution does not being enacted and MCAs being given the power. Because, when we do this, I'll say the governors have really perfected the art. Oh, this MCA he or she is being rude to me, she's fighting me or he's fighting me, but yet you're actually doing your oversight role of this. We've given you money as the governor and the executive to implement. Actually, the work of the executive is to implement. So it is my right and my role as per the Constitution to come back and ask, we gave you this money, we gave this budget, where is the development for ABC? Because we do public participation, the electorates do actually give that. So that's where it comes a clash. And because of the fear the MCAs have, majority of them, they're like, oh, if the governor goes to my ward and, try to destroy my name and all that. So I'd rather play to their tune, go get that brown envelope and let my people suffer. Let me go get whatever I have to do for the MCA to survive, then they are willing to do that. And as for me, if you ask me, if we cannot empower the MCAs, then we should as well as get rid
of the county assembly.
Because then what's the purpose of the devolution if then I cannot represent my people free at the county level? Okay. So it's something that even our government needs to look at it. If the MCAs cannot be empowered, actually, if you check at the amount of monies the MCAs, the salaries, both the elected and the nominated, the operations of it, if we cannot do the oversight, if the MCAs cannot question the governors, which is their role in the constitution, then let's get rid of this, being part of the MCAs. Okay. Why can't we then just get rid and then just allow the governors do as they wish? Okay. And just be, work, as in, because the bottom, the devolution is not getting. And also, Trevor, mark you, if this is the other thing that you see MC is fighting, don't forget, if a governor, God forbid, they were never voted in your ward, maybe, they voted for the other competitor who happened to have failed. If the governor is a vindictive person, they never work for that ward. They'll be like, hao ni watu wa ilio mrengo ingine. We cannot waste our money or our development in that ward, because they will still vote for the other competitor. So these are the things that we ought to look at. The other important thing, if they're not getting rid of the MCAs and the wards, then can the government come with a policy, or I can say, in this each and every ward, can from out of the budget, this certain percentage development of this certain percentage must be seen in these wards. So equal development. Just equal. And this is the problem. I don't know where they think that the money, but we need that equalization, the ward equalization fund. Okay. If that is not there, then we can as well as get rid of the assemblies. Okay,
Maida, so how do we sort these issues?
Trevor, I don't want to dwell much on the issue of the financial aspect that has been handled by the Speaker, who also happens to be the Vice Chair of the CAF. In fact, I want to put it clear that Honorable Keusia, who is my Speaker, or the Speaker of Machakos County Assembly, is the current Chair of the County Assemblies Forum, and the only elected woman Speaker in the entire country out of the 47 County Assemblies. It is quite unfortunate that she's been subjected to this. And I want to put the records clear, Trevor. However much we are trying to fight, to talk on the issue of funds and this much, the key issue here is autonomy and independence of county assemblies. The issue is in Machakos is far more than what meets the eye. It's not about finances. I will say, in fact, today, as I'm seated here, other than the DSAs, Machakos County Assembly has been paid up to March salaries. We cannot talk about issue of salaries, that I can say. And I can congratulate the Speaker and actually Honorable Felix Gui, who happens to be a member of the service board in the Machakos County Assembly. I will say, without any fear of contradiction, there are serious rifts between him as the Vice Chair of the Machakos County Assembly Service Board and the Chair, who is the Speaker. And with that rift, for the last 4 or 5 months, the Assembly has not been able to run smoothly. And that's why I will tell you, however much we will sit here and try, to say, oh, the Speaker is being impeached because of the following reasons. No. The conflicts of interest in Machakos County Assembly that majorly emanate one from the board itself, and then by extension being propelled and fueled much by the executive, is what has resorted to this mess. But all said and done, I can say this, as an assembly and the executive, we have no choice other than working together and deliver the services that we promise to the people. But this can only happen if the governor of Machakos County government exonerates and keeps off herself from the operations of the assembly. Trevor, I will tell you this. We don't even need to dilly-dally about this issue. The governor of Machakos County government is fully aware of the impeachment process. She has been calling MCS. She has been requesting them to support this motion. Some of us have refused, including even being offered huge amounts of money.
Has she called you?
I was called by her head, and majority of the MCS were called by her directly.
So this is hearsay. She hasn't called you, right?
She hasn't called me, but I was called by her head. And the MCS who are not supporting the impeachment were called directly by her to support the impeachment.
But have you been called?
What she's saying is that I am the one who brought this Speaker, so I want to do away with the Speaker.
Okay, so hold on. But have you been called by the governor?
No.
Ngui, have you been called by the governor?
No.
So either then...
But there are people, there are MCs
these are both MCs.
I can prove.
None of them have been called, including yourself.
Personally, I was called by his aide because she knows... One thing I will tell you, Trevor, when governor wanted this speaker elected, she personally called me and told me, Mheshimiwa Dominic, I know you can deliver. I want to have this speaker whom we can work, and I delivered. So she knows the stance that I have in support of the speaker. All that withstanding, I want to see what the speaker has said here. Our speakers have been subjected to a lot of torture. Reason being, speakers are just there as moderators of assemblies to moderate between the county assembly and the executive. And I thank God that in 2020, there was the County Government Acts Amendment Act, which was proposed so that it can safeguard the offices of the speakers. And as we are talking today, and like what Honorable Nguya said, there is a court order in place that was issued barring speakers from being expunged from office immediately an impeachment motion is tabled. So that order still stands today. So for example, if the Honorable Speaker, a motion has been tabled in the floor of the House, and unlike before where he was ought to remove from office immediately and cease from functioning, there is an order restraining county assemblies from letting the speaker not to undertake her roles, because she has a right, or a speaker has a right to fair hearing. So that court order is still in place. So what am I saying? The speaker is not supposed to leave office until the matter is underdetermined. No. The speaker rushed to court to get orders for interpretation on certain issues. For example, in Machakos County Assembly, the deputy speaker is supposed to preside over the impeachment of the speaker. Yet in Machakos County Assembly, the impeachment motion, the first person who signed the impeachment motion, the first signature, because the records are in public domain, is the deputy speaker himself. The motion was brought in the floor of the House, was tabled, it was brought in the Assembly by the Honorable Majority Leader, which means what? It's a government-sponsored business. And those are the issues that the Speaker has gone to court to seek interpretation and get to know. If the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker is supposed to preside over, and he's already signed the motion, that is conflict of interest. If the Majority Leader is the one who brought the motion, that means what? It's a government-sponsored motion. And I will say this without any fear of contradiction. This is a fully government-sponsored motion, which is meant to taint the speaker for a simple reason. For the last 3 months, before we broke for recess, there is, and even after, the speaker allowed the assembly to exercise its powers, oversight powers, without interference. Okay. And we summoned the CEC Finance, and out of the General Oversight Committee, that is when these issues have come up. Because the speaker is perceived, because I gave you a job, you're not supposed to oversight me. You're not supposed to preside over a session where MCAs will discuss general oversight issues in terms of accountability. And the issues have been raised by the Control of Budget and the Auditor General. The issue is simple. The fracas in Machakos is outrightly sponsored by the government. And the only entity that can stop that fracas is the same executive arm of government that can call the MCAs, sit together, analyze the issues, see where the nitty-gritties of the impeachment are, and the issues that the speaker has, and we also analyze the other side, and then we come to an agreement and move forward. Because the fight is not given in service to the people.
All right. I'm trying to look at the oversight of it all so that we look for the solutions, because the issue in Machakos is a bit strange. First, Maitha says he was called by the governor to make sure that the speaker is in office. Then now you say the governor is calling people to remove the same speaker who she wanted there, but then none of you here have been called. So it's a strange situation there. But what is the issue here, Ngui?
Trevor,
I
have to put the record straight. And my colleague, Mheshimiwa Maitha, has confirmed that he has not been called by the governor. My colleague Zora has confirmed she has not been called by the governor. I said earlier that this is an assembly process. All right? And how I dare? Because when you move a motion to remove a speaker, there are allegations. So I dare you to call the speaker here to come and say if the charges are true or not. Because we have not heard her deny the charges. Or rather, she just rushed to court. So I want to tell you that this is an assembly process. And as my colleagues have said, last year when they wanted to impeach the speaker, because both of them had signed the impeachment to impeach the speaker.
So now they've...
Yes, they had signed to impeach the speaker. So the governor, because it's the end of the county, she just came in to make sure that there's peace in the assembly, you know, to mediate between the assembly members and the speaker. So she had to talk with the members, you know, to forgive the speaker. But all of a sudden, these members have changed their minds. So other members who felt that the speaker has not done the right thing, they brought up the motion. You know, the issue of the majority leader bringing the motion is not an issue. Majority leader is a member of county assembly representing Machakos ward. So in this case, the majority leader is bringing the motion as a member of county assembly for Machakos Central, not as the majority leader of the government. So, Trevor, other issues that have been discussed here about autonomy, I want to agree with my members that autonomy is key in our county assemblies, because the issue of going to beg for money from the executive does not augur well with us. But all the same, we know our work. Our work is legislation, is representation and oversight. Machakos have done oversight properly without interference. We have been calling ministers, chief officers to our assembly and questioning them. So the issue of that we called a minister, that's why there's impeachment, it is not the correct thing. We have been calling these ministers and we have never brought an impeachment for the speaker. These have been norm. And in this case, when members of county assembly are representing their people, which is one of their roles, representation means that you represent the interest of your people in the assembly and elsewhere. We have a responsibility when members go to public inspection and give their needs of what is supposed to be done in our wards. We have a responsibility to follow up in the departments. That is how we represent them. If there's a dam that was supposed to be done in Katangi, if there's a road that was supposed to be tarmacked in Katangi, and I put it in the budget, I have a responsibility to follow up in the department and make sure that this project is done as per the budget. And when it is done, I also have a responsibility to oversight and make sure that public money was used in the right way.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So in a nutshell, whatever is happening in Machakos is an assembly matter, and we told the governor to keep off from the issue.
Right.
Let us handle our matters.
Right.
That is the truth of the matter.
Kamanza, let me switch this up a bit. Yes. In your meeting earlier on, there was a report that MCAs were demanding a 700% pay rise.
That's not true. That one I won't leave you to even finish. That was a very unfortunate peak of the news of the day. But however, news must sell. And I think probably at that time, we had an AGM. And the AGM, which came early in March, we had issues, a lot of issues. And most of the assemblies that were voted in 2022, we had not sat for an AGM. And it was the right time that, that we had an AGM. And of course, in the AGM, members would air different issues. I want to deny the fact that there is a single member who said he wants or she wants the salary to be raised to 700%. That's not true.
How
Trevor,
much did you want?
Trevor, what we are trying to say is that, you know, it has been 13 years to now. And the MCAs currently that we have are having papers. The MCAs that we have today were put in a job group like the councillors before 2010 constitution. Therefore, in the election of 2013, there was no job evaluation for the MCAs. Until now, that right now, when you ask the SRC, it is when they have started doing the job evaluation for the MCAs. Therefore, we were just put in a job cadre, and I can assure you, the grade that the MCAs currently are in, it is 2 job group lower than what is expected. Therefore, what we are trying to say is that we are not saying that the MCAs be paid today, but let a job evaluation be done of the activities, the job that they are doing, and with the papers that the current MCAs are having.
Okay. Yes. So, Seth,
yes,
there was an update from Imwatok.
Yes.
Who said, and I quote, that the margin of our salaries should be at par with MPs in the National Assembly. For instance, we are paid 80,000 shillings. We want to be paid 560,000 shillings, which is what governors and MPs earn. 560,000 divided by 80,000 is 7. That's a 700% increment. What is wrong with what we've said?
What I want to tell you, we have proposal as CAF, as County Assembly Forum, that we've put, just say it, and I'll just publicly say it here, that the president is paid a certain percentage. The MP is paid a percentage of what the president is getting. The Speaker of the Assembly, the National Assembly, is paid a percentage of what the president is paid. Right now, the governor is paid 900,000. The difference between the governor and the member that is oversighting the governor is getting 81,000. Is it realistic?
But what is wrong with the report? I mean, that was the thing. You are questioning our report as journalists.
No, we are not saying 700%. That's what I am deferring.
From 80,000 to 560.
No, it is not coming to that amount, because as per the calculation, I was in the task force that we were doing the job evaluation for the MCAs. And, you know, what happened in 2021 is that the salary for the MCA, because of the devaluation, like the house, you know, they introduced the house, whatever, the basic and the gross and everything, it went down. It went down from 148 to almost 90-something as gross. So what the MCAs are asking, why are we at a loss when we expected the previous members were at a certain point, and when we are coming in, we are put in a certain job group? And all these issues, it is a circular that was released in late 2022 that has put us here. Okay. But fortunately, we are now having new SRC commissioners, and we are hoping and praying that they understand and they get the gist of what the MCAs are having. And you see, Trevor, it is not about the numbers. You know, you cannot tell me that I cannot give you the salary because you guys are many, but I'm delivering for my work. The work that I'm doing, I deliver. I do an oversight, I check, I do the passing of the laws, and that's the work that constitutionally have been given. And currently, why do you say that the MCAs are many, 2,000 or 3,000, and yet right now the MPs are getting 366? Why are people not complaining? And you know, Trevor, right now, you know, you are in town, us we are in town, but down there, the first door to be knocked because of a problem is the MCA. Whether be it burial, be it the wedding, issues, be it a child being born, the mother is taken to hospital, it is the MCA. Understood. Yes, so Trevor, just to finish, I just want to say that our members or our membership currently, it is at a stake whereby it has to deliver, and you know, the reality being said. You know, as an MCA, you will pass the best laws, you will pass, but if you are not in touch with your people, you go home. And that's why you find that out of 100%, only 30% we have a turn around. Okay, Atiaya, finally.
Thank you, Trevor. Now, one thing that makes Assemblies weak oversight, it's remuneration. I've been an MCA since 2013. I'm serving my third term. In 2013, when I was going to an election in 2017, my basic salary was 165. Right now, my basic salary is 81,000. You see the devaluation now. What informed SRC to pay me 165 in 2013 to 2017, and it's paying me 81,000 in 2022? There was some tabulation that was done, and the public are perceived to see that MCAs are earning this much. I am a leader in my assembly, and maybe behind the cameras, I will share with you my payslip. I will show you. You saw that you are from informed point of view. That MCAs, we have MCAs who, if they have loans, bank loans, they earn as little as 30,000 per month. And the expenditure of an MCA per weekend is up to 50,000. So number one weak link of oversight is the remuneration. And we are not saying that we want to get up to that level of remuneration that was said by, quoted by Imwato Okoro, any other person. We only want an MCA to be put on a job group. Right now, we are not on job group. We have members of staff in our assemblies who are earning double the salary of an MCA. We have CC members and chief officers. A CC member earns almost 400,000. A chief officer of county government earns almost 250,000. An MCA earns a quarter of a person he wants to oversight. So, if we have proper remuneration to the members of county assembly, that if the government thinks that they cannot remunerate us to the extent we want, let them take us to where we were in the year 2013, at 165. Right. That is the clarion call of all MCAs. And if we are remunerated very well, because, Trevor, we are in a situation whereby you need to oversight a chief officer and a CC member and a director who is earning double your salary. In the committee of 11 members, if that chief officer just gets half of his salary and buys off half of your members, you don't have a committee to oversight. Okay. So the only clarion call to the members of the county assembly is that let SRC do job evaluation. If they do job evaluation on our duties and roles, and they pay us commensurate to our duties and roles, then we have no problem. Okay. Lastly, Honorable Trevor, you'll be an honorable very soon, because it is not. It is coming out clean that you are honorable. Lastly, independency of the assemblies, the way I have said, it's paramount, very paramount, to avoid executive or any other arm. Yeah. In some assemblies, we have even political party leadership interferes with the assembly running. If you want to summon so and so, the assembly leadership party, if the governor is in the same party with members, the governor goes to the party leadership writes to you or calls you and tells you, don't do this and that. For us to avoid interference by external actors on the assembly matters, then we need to have strong legislations that will protect the coming assemblies. Okay. The assemblies that are there right now and the coming assemblies from external interference. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We have to leave it there. Coming up next is Level Up with Popizo and Ben Su. Thank you so much for making time this morning. And enjoy the weekend, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.